Welcome back to the Brothers Career Mode. Real Madrid came out winners in the El Clasico, but a dip in form sees Barcelona move to the top of the table. The first match, however, would be an away game against Zaragoza in the Cup round of 32. Real would go down to 10 men after Camavinga was shown a red card. This didn't stop them from going forward, as Bellingham, the catalyst for the counter, set Jed up for a perfectly flighted chip. 7 goals till his next upgrade. The game would go to penalties and Real advanced to the next stage. With rumours of Manny leaving for Arsenal, Jed spoke to Ancelotti regarding making a shock move for his brother Manny. It was something that looked totally off the cards as he played for rivals Barcelona. Manny did indeed leave for the Gunners and Ancelotti had to go to the board to discuss a new replacement. Manny's name came up amongst a host of other players and Real gave the green light and made the unlikely bid of £130 million. And sure enough, soon, the two brothers were reunited. Many questioned how long for though, with Chelsea sniffing around and looking to make a bid for Jed. Madrid also brought in Noni Madueke. Would Chelsea be lining up a huge bid for Jed? The transfer window ended with Jed staying in Madrid. He wanted trophies. Toby, however, was still at Barca and he'd even been nominated for Player of the Month up with Jed. Manny introduced himself to the Real Madrid faithful with a goal from the spot on his debut. Vinny would add to that goal and Real go through to the next round. In the Spanish Cup quarter-final, Jed gave Real the lead and things were looking good. Villarreal came back with an acrobatic attempt from a corner and it forced its way over the line. Moussa Diaby then stole the show as his shot beat Courtois. 2-1 Villarreal. Back in the dressing room, the Galacticos were stunned. Even Ancelotti was lost for words. On the bright side of things, Jed won his 4th Player of the Month award in a row. Espanyol with a visit to the Bernabeu and Joselu would come back to haunt Real with a neatly converted penalty. Despite Real Madrid's best efforts, the scoreline stayed the same and they fell to yet another defeat. Manny and Jed were speaking in the dressing room and stated that if Toby was there, they wouldn't lose such games. They were unsure why Ancelotti was playing Valverde on the wing. To them, it didn't make sense. Barca now 4 points in front. Jed holding on tightly to the top scorer spot and their next match was away to Osasuna. He had an early chance that he failed to take. Later in the half he turned provider for Vinny with some beautiful setup play as Vinicius volleyed the ball home. Courtois kept Real Madrid in front with a great save. Jed was fouled on the edge of the box. Manny took aim and very nearly doubled the lead. Late pressure from Osasuna saw substitute Saïd Benrahma equalise with 3 minutes to go. For the Real fans, this display was far from pleasing. The Champions League round of 16 against Bayern Munich. Bayern attacked down the right-hand side, Kingsley Coman finding Tammy Abraham. He then looks for Musiala, but was foiled by an ex-Bayern defender, Matthijs de Ligt. It was Real's turn and Vinny slid a ball through for Jed to chase, one-on-one, and the goalkeeper to beat. He hit the post. He'd get a second chance to score as the follow-up was in the back of the net, 1-0. A mistake at the back saw Jed free and he buried the ball past Szczesny. Ancelotti's master plan was working. Bayern knocked and knocked till they found a way through. Scamacca on the score sheet. Madrid would hold on and finish the game 2-1 going into the second leg. Back into the league and a 12th-minute goal from Jed would give Real all 3 points against Girona. Jed now 3 goals from his next upgrade. It was like a roller coaster for Madrid at this point, a 1-1 draw for the Galacticos against Sevilla. A weak performance from Jed saw him deflecting accusations that he was failing to lead the team. He threw Valverde under the bus and also said Courtois could have done better for the goal. Was there unrest in the Madrid camp? After being dropped to the bench, Ancelotti called on Jed, seeing things tied at 0-0. With Jed and Valverde still failing to get on, the game ended as a draw. The feud continued in the dressing room. This was really bad. The second leg of the round of 16 knockout stage, away to Bayern. With a goal advantage, could Real hold on? A neat move from the away side ended in a goal for Vinicius Jr., extending Madrid's advantage. Valverde cut the ball across for Jed and he missed a pretty open goal. Valverde turned away in disgust. The two couldn't stand each other. Into the second half and determined to make up for his miss, Jed attempted something crazy. A rainbow flick with a first-time volley. He struck it sweetly, only to be denied by the post. Bayern went up the other end and pulled level on the day through Florian Wirtz. The quality they were up against was just too much for Bayern. The quarterback-like pass from Bellingham was plucked down by Jed and he smashed it past, once again, a helpless Szczesny. The home supporters failed to give up, still cheering on their team, and it would bear fruit later as Scamacca has now scored in both legs. In search of another goal, Bayern called upon the competition's leading goalscorer, Tammy Abraham. An old friend in Jude Bellingham ended the tie in the 88th minute when he struck a well-timed volley. Good night, Bayern. El Clasico was here. There was some shock news as Jed was placed on the bench. Coming on for Valverde, the two didn't even make eye contact. Jed didn't take long to get into the game. He had to let his anger out. He cut inside and faked away from Koundé, wrapping his left boot around the ball and curling it into the top corner. He was still the main man. A frustrated Toby was so locked into the game he didn't even think twice before making a lunging tackle on brother Manny. Unhappy with the challenge, Manny responded in the best way possible, with a goal. Desperate to respond, Toby struck the ball goalward. Courtois made the save, leaving him even more frustrated. Real picked up the 3 points they so badly needed, and it was just one more goal till Jed's next upgrade. Before the next game, Jed and Valverde exchanged words. Jed telling Valverde he was privileged to play alongside such a striker. Valverde hated this, but he knew deep down the only way for him to look good was to provide plenty of assists. So he did just that, supplying 2 great passes for Jed and giving him 2 goals. Jed used his upgrade to finally acquire 5-star weak foot. In the next game against Elche, Jed got on the score sheet another 2 times. However, they fought back and they'd win the game 3-2. So late in the season and Real Madrid were choking. The San Siro awaited in the quarter-final of the UCL against AC Milan. Jed was fired up, but let his emotions get the better of him as he flew into a silly challenge. Jed fouled a second time, giving away a penalty and receiving a second yellow. Real's only chance to stay in the game was to beat them on the counter. Manny broke down the right-hand side and put in a well-placed cross. Vinicius on the end of that with a scissor kick. 1-1. Refusing to hold on, Real hit on the counter again, and Vinny had his second goal. Was Jed about to be eclipsed? Luckily for him, Real beat AC Milan 5-3 on aggregate and were now into the semi-finals. 7 games left in the league though and 10 points behind. It was all but over. Off the bench against Cadiz, Jed would get the winner with a header out of nowhere. 6 goals till his next upgrade. Barca dropped points at home to Bilbao. There was still a chance. Now 7 points between the 2 rivals. Galacticos dispatched Valencia 4-1, Jed once more on the score sheet. It was semi-final time, Real against Man City. It was Haaland that struck the first blow. Right before half-time, 1-0 City. With his ego ever growing, Jed hated being outdone. In the matchup of Haaland versus Jed, it was now 1-1. A corner late in the game for the home side, Rodri marking Jed. He didn't do enough and the striker got there first, connecting with his head and scoring the winning goal. Full time, 2-1 to Real Madrid. The gap down to 6 points as Barca continued to dip in form. 5 games to go. Another win against Sociedad, Jed with the winning goal. Barca drawing with Sevilla had let their guard down once more. Manny back from injury in time for the second leg, a huge boost for Real. With all the focus on Haaland, Madrid forgot about another threat, Dembele. A pass from Haaland gave him the perfect opportunity and it was 1-0 to City. Manny was clearly off the pace and rusty as he gave away a penalty. City with a chance to pull further ahead and Haaland made no mistake. Jed failing to pass to Valverde was then dragged off by Ancelotti. A stinking performance and Real Madrid were out of the Champions League. 4 games to go in the league, Real had a lot of work to do. Jed smashed in a hat-trick as Levante were the recipients of a 4-0 thrashing. Barca with the game in hand and Real just 2 points behind. Jed used his next upgrade to go to 95 rated now. He wanted to finish the season strong and scored in the following game against Real. He then also turned provider for Vinicius, a 2-0 win. Madrid now at the top of the table by 1 point, but Barca still with a game in hand. Fast forward a few days, Barca played their game in hand and both teams were even on games. Barca now 2 points ahead. Real were going to fight to the death. Manny and Jed had a point to prove. The two combined for the opening goals against Villarreal. Before long, Jed had his third. He then moved on to supply the fourth for Vinny, and Manny ended the scoring. 5-0 Madrid. 5 goals till Jed's next upgrade. With news that Barca had drawn 1-1, the dressing room was buzzing. Ancelotti had reminded the players it wasn't over yet. Getafe were the final obstacle. Could Real clinch the title? There was a massive turnout and everyone was ready for the final game of the season. 0-0 at the break and everyone was getting nervy. Getafe then took a 1-0 lead. Were they about to crush Madrid's dreams? As if things couldn't be worse, Toby had equalised for Barcelona. Alex Scott provided the news there and it was ringing around the stadium. Things looked bad as Real were on the brink of defeat. Jed, however, took matters into his own hands and got a much-needed equaliser. Late into the game, Manny won possession, Jed broke through and made the right decision, squaring it for Guri to tap into an empty net. Real would clinch the title with that goal, winning 2-1 away to Getafe. For Manny and Jed, it was their second taste of real glory, the Euros, now a La Liga title. At the end of the season, he won Player of the Season. With the way he was playing, could anyone really doubt it? Thoroughly deserved. A nice touch from Jed as well, buying some retirement gifts for his teammates. Barca may have missed out on the league title, but they didn't miss out on the Champions League. They would go on to beat Manchester City on penalties. all the brothers had a taste of silverware. The season was over. What was next for the brothers? Where should they go? Comment down below and let us know your thoughts. Should we get the band back together?
Why they asking me if hard work pays off? The proof's in the pudding. How'd I get where I got? Check the work that I put in.